And welcome back to Newsgang. The hashtag is Newsgang. We are seeing your feedback and we thank you for it. Now, this week, Mr. Amos Wako seemingly carrying the burdens of the previous administration. I mean, who on earth gets banned twice from the US? And he spoke about it, but he also invited us to do so.
I think I know you.
Yes, I know.
I'll wait for what you say on Thursday evening. The gang.
Okay, so Mr. Wako, you wanted us to speak about it, so here goes. He was actually speaking to you, wasn't he?
Absolutely.
You were there, you covered his
I was there, and he spent about 40 minutes trying to explain what is happening.
Actually, so let's talk about it.
Yes, let's talk about it.
Now that he's invited us to.
Actually, what I found interesting is that he has that characteristic smile that he carries every so often for many years. But in the course of his statement, you could see he was getting agitated. He was getting annoyed. And I would imagine, or I would feel that probably this travel ban has touched somewhere in his mind and in his heart. And you could see he was seething in rage. And the challenge he was posing to the Trump administration is, one, list publicly the allegations against me in terms of corruption. Because Michael Pompeo in that communication said that Wako was being banned from ever setting foot in America because of participating or masterminding significant corruption. Obviously, it has something to do with the Anglo leasing scam, the multi-billion shillings scam that happened while he was in office as Attorney General. But remember, this is not the first time. In 2009, November, he was issued with a similar travel ban. And so 10 years later, a fresh ban, iko kitu.
Yes, Yvonne, Gashuri umesema is second ban, but have we ever, and I just asked you now before we came on air, in our best of our recollection, has Amos Wako ever been incriminated or said to have been involved in corruption locally? I don't think so. So someone would say, what would this ban do to him? Because he goes to the US quite regularly because of the fact that, one, Amos Wako is very respected as a legal mind. In fact, he's a member of what they call the prestigious International Law Commission, which is a UN, it's part of the UN, and he was appointed to that board in 2011. In fact, in 2015, he was a vice chair of it, and he's been a member since 2011, and to date, he's a member of that commission. He travels to the US a lot, especially to the UN. He's been a UN Secretary General Special Envoy to countries like Algeria, Liberia, and Colombia. So he is respected in those circles. But what would this ban do to him? Because some say he can still go to the UN, but maybe it's a matter of reputation, because people will start questioning now, Amos Wako, what is the source of his wealth? Why is he being mentioned? Why are people talking about him? He wasn't really in our minds as a potential corruption suspect, considering the guy is the longest serving Attorney General we've had, I think since 1991 to 2011. So I think now for him it's a reputation thing, the fact that, who is this guy and why is the US banning him?
But Jamila, it's funny that he's being respected now, because he was not respected as much or loved by Kenyans when he served as Attorney General. There may not be a pending case against him, but let's be honest, this is the man who presided over and was the chief government legal advisor at a time when we had some of our biggest scandals. I mean, take a look at Anglo Leasing, at Goldenberg, and some of them were the most audacious, quite frankly. I mean, we were selling gold that we literally did not exist. And so a lot of people faulted him for that. Well, he may have been appointed to a lot of those now, but a lot of Kenyans will remember how frustrating it was to watch the Attorney General for the longest time with that smile on his face at a time when Kenyans were going through some of the biggest corruption scandals in this country that literally brought the economy to its knees. Regardless of that, I have a few questions. So he was banned in 2009, he's been banned again now. What information do they have against him? And we typically know the US Department to not give this information publicly. We know that they usually give it to persons individually. I don't know if you remember, just before the president and his deputy president in their first term, and there was rumors that they had been banned, we asked the US Department, the embassy, and the one thing they said is we do not release that information to the public. So we will tell the individuals they have been banned and why. So I find it interesting, why now? I know the newspapers are talking about who next, what information do they have against him. I have a feeling he was furnished with this information. I mean, I know during the press conference that you attended, he said nobody has told him, but surely, you know, where is this coming from? I think that for me is the biggest question, but no doubt about it. I'm not sure whether his reputation has always been squeaky clean, maybe not being directly involved, at least as far as we know publicly, but the fact that he presided over a time when there was some serious corruption in this country.
Let me rope in Joe in this. Joe, that smile by Amos Wako was disappearing at that news conference.
To say that because he has worn that smile for as long as I've watched him. I mean, he was 20 years, he was an attorney general, he has been a Busia senator, and yes, for me, I think that there is something about this whole thing that makes it sound like a fantastical tale from Gondwana land or such other imaginary land, because look, why would the US 10 years later bring back the same thing without giving us any details? I mean, it's almost as if it was programmed in a computer somewhere that after every 10 years there is a ban on Amos Wako. Why do I say this? Look, we have not had any case, as Jamila was mentioning, against this guy here in Kenya. And the US, in his statement, Mike Pompeo's statement says, well, this is a sign that we are a worthy or helpful, whatever term they used, partner in the fight against corruption. Why has that file or whatever details not been handed over to the EACC, DCI or DPP? Or has it been and they're not telling us? Because it would be great if they have such a serious issue against Amos Wako, so serious as to ban him from setting foot in their country, then surely the first place, the first port of call would be the EACC or such other place. Why is it that this thing is such a top secret, yes, yet it is actually serious enough to ban him? How is banning Amos Wako from entering the US really helping us to fight corruption? Is he going to stop doing something because he can't go to the US? He can't go to the US because he has this pass from the UN. So what does it really serve in effect? So in my view, either the US reveals what this is so that Kenyans can see, so that the agencies here can take action against Amos Wako if indeed he has a case to answer. Secondly, and lastly, I think there is a problem if these people, if it's Anglo-leasing, as Francis says, I personally think it might be other things, but if it is Anglo-leasing, then everybody knows that the Attorney General in Kenya has really never been presiding over anything. There are people who preside over things. The Attorney General has been in many respects someone who sits there to be seen, not to be heard. If we know how the power dynamics work in previous governments and even to a large degree what we have now. So for the Attorney General to be the sacrificial lamb in this whole corruption thing is, quite frankly, I think a big joke. I should put it like that.
And that's the reason why I want to let our viewers hear some of the things that Amos Wako was saying, and specifically when he was saying hii ni kitu kidogo, this is a small matter. That's what he was saying.
Please, and let me know. I don't want to waste my brain thinking and speculating why should I? When I know I'm a man of integrity, I know I have nothing to hide. In kitu kidogo. Kitu kidogo too, don't worry about it, I'll deal with it. Kama tume.
Saying in kitu kidogo, he will deal with it like dume. But reputation, as you say, is one thing. But more fundamentally, as Joe says, if it is about grand corruption in the Kibaki and Moi administrations, because he was Attorney General in those two scenarios, then probably bigger people ought to carry the burden or share the burden with him if actually he participated in masterminding the significant corruption.
I mean, I think, like Joe said, has that information been shared with the Kenyan authorities? That is one. If they say they have significant information of his involvement in significant corruption, was he alone? Where are the other people? For me, it just comes out of nowhere. I mean, I still don't understand you know, what this is and why it was made public. There's just some things for me here that don't add up.
And Gashuri, why ban his wife and son too?
Yeah, in fact, I wanted to raise that issue because that also seemed to really annoy him, that his wife and his son have also been bad. And he was actually saying, if I made a mistake,
then I should carry the cross.
Punish me.
Yeah, and
and then he was saying, I am not Jesus to carry other people's
crosses. Yes, and like when he said, ini kitu kidogo, and he will deal with it as a man, perhaps this is what he meant when he said, now I dare the US?
Absolutely.
Let's listen.
Let's listen.
Let them share with me and also make it public for the Kenyans to know the full particulars of the allegations of corruption against me, and I have nothing whatsoever to hide. So let them disclose it to the people of Kenya, not in some walls in Washington.
Just my final comment on that is he cut a very lonely figure, by the way, with this press conference. I mean, we are very used to you know, politicians who are flanked by other people behind them. He was a lonely figure, I just had to say, especially considering how politics happens in this country. He was all by his lonesome. I found that quite interesting.
But I would think he probably has an idea why he's being targeted. And probably he's taunting the USA to name the allegations against him, so
and
that
whoever else,
so that maybe a litany of other issues can come up.
Right.
Yeah. This reminds me, Gashuri and Yvonne, that in 2009 the US actually didn't name anyone. They said a government official, a senior government official. Then Amos Wako himself came and said, I'm the government official who's being mentioned by the US government. I think, ladies and gentlemen, we are almost at the end of the show, but of course we cannot leave without the memo, the angle, the take, the punchline. The kika leo imetake a break kidogo, but
has been kicked.
For tonight.
So we are going to start with our final word.